Cyber criminals stole nearly $30 billion from U.S. consumers last year. The director of the FBI called the internet the most dangerous parking lot imaginable and warned people to be just as aware of scams, compromised websites, malware, and other threats as they would be of a physical theft. How cyber secure are you? This live broadcast and live stream of Insights on PBS Hawaii start now.
Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Laura Yamada. Well, every year, people are bilked out of billions of dollars and victimized by cyber criminals who gain access to their personal data. It may be hackers breaking into your computer or phone and gaining access to your credit card or your passwords. Or on a larger scale, your personal data could be part of an extensive data breach through maybe a bank or retailer and then sold to other criminals. Maybe you're victimized by internet scammers, selling your phony tech support to fix malware that they placed on your computer. More recently, Wikileaks suggesting British spy agencies partnered with the CIA to turn televisions and smartphones into bugging devices. It may seem we are powerless against these cyber intruders, never knowing how or where they may strike next, but there are precautions that we can take to protect ourselves. And tonight, our guests have come prepared to help all of us learn how to become more cyber secure. So we look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email, call, or tweet your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org. All right, now to our guests. We're going to start with Gregory Dunn. He is the President CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Hawaii. The Bureau has been actively involved in producing cybersecurity tips to consumers and, of course, to businesses. Next to Jody Ito is the University of Hawaii's Information Security Officer. She is responsible for the security and protection of the information assets across the entire University of Hawaii system. And joining us, Stanley Lau. He is the founder of Hawai'i Tech Support, a technology company focused on managing computer and network systems for businesses. Been doing it for a long time. And also to Tuan Nguyen, the FBI's Assistant Special Agent in charge, Honolulu Division. He oversees the FBI cyber intrusion and digital forensics programs within the state of Hawaii, also Guam, Saipan, and other U.S. territories in the Pacific. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. We were just talking a few minutes ago about how all your worlds are just becoming more and more intertwined, because we need all of your expertise and all of your minds together to tackle something that is such a huge issue. So maybe we'll just kind of start with a little bit of a round robin and get a little bit of a story or something that you guys have come across recently that just sort of puts the spotlight on how big of a complicated problem we're dealing with here. Maybe Greg, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we get calls from consumers all the time. Just today we got a complaint from a gentleman, an elderly gentleman, his name is Glenn, who said, you know, help, I don't know what to do. This PC tech support company that I let log into my computer on the back end and help me fix a problem, saying he was with the software company, all of a sudden says, hey, log into your bank account, we need to refund you some money.
Wow,
we
just
overcharged
today.
you. Just today.
Yeah.
And when he let them in, they said, oh, we put too much money into your account. You saw us put $1,200 in, so we want you to go and buy $400 in iTunes gift cards to pay us back. You just keep that money, but buy the iTunes cards and give it back to us. So he did. So once he did that and logged off, they called him back and said, oh, those cards didn't work. We need you to buy some more. That's when it clicked in his mind there was something wrong.
And these people it's tough because you're stressed, you're upset, so it's difficult to maintain your surroundings and what's happened to you.
That's what the criminals are counting on. They're counting on getting you in the ether and having you not think about what you're doing.
And Stan, I can't imagine how many stories you've heard. And I mean, you've been in IT for what, more than 20 years, working with a lot of people who are calling you desperate for help.
Right. From the business side, it's also they're preying on people who are either unaware or unexpecting. They're not expecting some things to happen. So recently, phishing has been around for a while, but the targeted spear phishing, the whaling, That's
I haven't heard whaling yet.
whaling is
Whaling.
It's a big one.
fishing of
Yes.
the big game, the executive level.
makes sense.
Yeah. So we had a company that we worked with. They were targeted, and one of the things that we were pointing out was, websites, especially corporate websites that have executive staff listings with email addresses, positions. With that information, someone's easily able to find out who the CEO is, their email address, who the CFO is, perhaps staff accountants, that are all available on the website.
Once
And
they open that door.
impersonation is just so easy with names, addresses, and then we've had clients who have experienced that, and staff ended up sending information based on false emails that were sent to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to follow up on that, we're seeing a lot of phishing attacks at the University of Hawaii, and the phishers are getting very, very sophisticated. They are taking our messages and then repurposing them to look like it's our University of Hawaii help desk asking them for their login credentials.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
fact is that people are reading these emails on their mobile devices, and therefore it's hard for them to distinguish what is
That's a very good
actually a
point.
real email versus a phishing email. And so we get a lot of compromised accounts
And
coming in that way.
you really are in a tough spot too, because with the university and the entire system, the way you have to deal with it being somewhat of a public entity, but then also having all these private accounts.
Absolutely.
This is a tough spot to be in.
It is. It's sort of the blend of the corporate plus the academics, and where we have a transient population, so we don't even know who our population is, right? We have visiting professors coming and going, students coming and going, everybody bringing their own personal devices on our network. And not to mention that we actually have a lot of research going on, and so we know that other countries are interested in our intellectual property. So besides our personal identifiers like your social security numbers and credit card information, they're also after research data too. So
And great point we were talking about earlier too, that sometimes they get access to information on a lower level.
Yes.
And that then, because it's a third party, then they open the door to access to people on a higher level or bigger businesses. It just creates that path.
Wait, right, and it's a trusted path, right? Because it's a vendor you're
Right.
buying your services from.
And they
So-
have to. They have no
email
choice.
address.
Right.
So you see the people look at it and they say, oh, there's a good chance this is real, and I don't want to upset them, so we'll just go ahead and we'll process this payment. It's only a couple of $1,000s.
Antoine, as a federal agent, I mean, especially in the state of Hawaii here, I mean, the international connections, whether it be physically or, of course, what's happening online, it's hard to even quantify. I mean, there was a report that came out recently, and it said that Hawaii has the second most reported scams in the country, trying to then determine where exactly all of this is coming from, and then try to decipher that with oftentimes the just limited resources. There just simply is never going to be enough.
And that's the challenge for the government and for law enforcement, specifically where I'm working, is that how do you keep up with the technologies out there that's available to the perpetrators? And also at the same time, we have two responsibilities, really. One is to investigate the crime that's being committed using a number of different technologies that's out there. But at the same time, we need to actually safeguard the information that we actually retain based on our investigations, right? So victims come to us and help, asking for help, and we do retain that data so that we can help the victims. At the same time, though, we need to make sure we protect the information that we hold.
That is such a balancing act for you.
It is.
On the federal level. And there's so much happening in Congress right now with the different parties struggling with that themselves as to what is the right balance for everyone with protecting people's privacy, not opening it up to too much advertisement, but at the same time allowing the entities that are trying to protect you as well access to be able to do that.
Exactly, and that's a challenge that, as a society, we will be confronting for the years to come. Where do we find a balance? As law enforcement, we don't advocate one or the other, but what we want to do is just make sure that people are aware of the challenges, of the difficulty it is for law enforcement to do what we need to do. And some of the legislations that are being considered may not help. So it just depends on what we're talking about, but finding that balance is very, very important.
Well, I have to thank you guys because all of you submitted some questions. We have a little bit of a different format tonight because of the input from all of you to guide people through some ways to think about how to possibly protect themselves. We're going to get to that in just a quick minute, but I wanted to get to one of the viewer questions. This is an important one. Somebody called in and asked, what advice do you have for teachers and schools preparing youth to be cyber safe? I know there are a lot of different ways to kind of answer this, but maybe before we get to the list of questions that we have prepared, if maybe a couple of you want to chip in on that and see.
So a lot of it starts with cyber ethics, right? How do you teach students how to behave ethically in a digital world? And it just starts with simple things like bullying, right? And, you know, normally if you're doing it in a face-to-face, you can get the verbal cues that this isn't good, or, you know, you're making other people unhappy. But in a cyber environment, it's much easier to have that gang mentality, and then, you know, and there is no physical face-to-face contact, so you lose that human connection. And it's throughout the days, right? As a teacher watches what students are doing to try to inject some of the behaviors that you want to help them with. If you see somebody exchanging passwords with somebody, you tell them to not do that. That's not a good, safe practice. Right?
It's tough these days.
It is.
Especially
it's tough.
with children, as they're growing up and they feel that they can trust everyone. They trust everyone in their family that they know. And so the people online are their family and they trust them. So they're going to share a lot of information online, which is unknowingly then conveyed to people that are not part of their family, people they don't know, and people who don't have those children's best interest in mind, and will use it against them, their families, and their friends.
Right. I think this is a great question. I have a fourth grader who spends, it seems like, an hour online for school. So he does his website
That's a
homework.
good point. They're required to do it.
Right, they're required
now.
to do it, and a lot of the curriculum, they have a web-based component or an online-based component. They're using Google Docs regularly. So a lot of it has not, it's beyond just how do you safely use your account. I think in the school workplace, I've talked to a principal in the past, their concern was how do we maintain or keep what sites students are visiting on campus, on the Wi-Fi network, restricted, you know, from going to places where they shouldn't.
That's tough based on the assignments they might have.
It's a danger world out
balance.
there.
All right,
And on this one, just last note on that is that not only the parents and not only are the teachers and the schools are responsible to make sure they educate, the parents play a critical role in being more vigilant in what their children do online.
Supervise
and
their
educate
social
them.
media.
So there is. So this is why we have some of the questions that we have to educate some folks, and also maybe to remind some folks some of the things that really are things you need to be thinking about at all times. So let's start getting through some of these questions that we have. We're going to be learning more about how to become more cyber secure. So as we mentioned, all of you have provided some questions so we can take a multiple choice quiz together. We can make this a group effort for everyone. So after tonight's program, we're going to post the questions and answers on our website, and we're going to go ahead and start with one of those. So here's the first one. Okay, a strong password should be A, at least 8 characters long, B, include both upper and lower case letters, or all of the above. So before we give the answer, maybe Jody, we'll start with you on this one. I think you put that question forth. What should people be thinking about when they create a password?
So all of those things. And additionally, don't use dictionary words. You want to inject numbers and special characters, as well as make it as long as possible, right? So
just make sure you don't forget it.
Don't don't forget it, and don't reuse your passwords. Don't use the same passwords on different accounts.
So I created sort of like a coding system.
Yes.
Which had a slight variation per password, but it had a similar
It has a
code.
It has a so
That's
right.
it. I'm done.
We can do a whole session on how to create a strong password. I mean, but
Well, something you said is really important is don't use dictionary words. And there's a specific reason for that, because there are programs that are out there that utilize
Search for
dictionary
those.
words that search, and they will set and they'll spin and try different different combinations of words and letters and numbers to try and break your password. And so that's why if it's not in a dictionary, if it's some odd combination, it's less likely to be cracked.
correct.
Okay, so let's get to this next question here. I think this is something that people deal with more and more these days. The Wi-Fi available. Oh, I'm sorry. We did. You're right. You said the answer just to make sure. Let's put that answer up there. Getting used to the format. There it is. So all of the above, and then some.
Yes. And then some. And yes.
And then some. So include at least 8 characters, and then also upper and lower, along with some other types of characters in the system that's not easy for people to get to. All right, I'm getting the system down now. Okay, so let's go to that next question. The Wi-Fi available at your local coffee shop is always secure. A, yes. Any public Wi-Fi source is safe, and you're safe to log onto a public Wi-Fi and browse all of your regular sites. B, no, you can never trust a public Wi-Fi service and should never connect to one. Or C, the Wi-Fi service may be safe, but you should verify that the coffee shop is actually supplying the Wi-Fi and avoid logging onto sites which contain sensitive personal information. And I think most people who these days do this in some shape or form. And when you're sitting there in a coffee shop or business or whatever, you see a whole list pop up.
Right.
And sometimes it's not always obvious which is the right one.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That happened to me recently. We were in Las Vegas in a hotel and went to use the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi said the hotel's name, but it looked odd. It was an odd combination of characters, and it was not the hotel's Wi-Fi. Someone in a nearby room had a hotspot set up, and they were waiting for people to log in potentially and use their banking information to see how much money they had, get access, and steal their information.
And I think you work with businesses on this too, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Right. From the consumer standpoint, though, say coffee shops or even at Home Depot these days, you can go in. They have Wi-Fi service. The idea is you should always assume that any public Wi-Fi is it's a non-secure channel, right? So anything that you do on that network, the data passes right through it. It could have anything that could read it.
And I would think that a lot of the criminals that you're tracking, they know this, so
They
they
do.
seek out these channels too.
So the other thing I do want to mention about Wi-Fi is that at home, we all pretty much have a router, a Wi-Fi router at home now. We really need to protect that router because what happens is that someone within the proximity of your home can jump on your Wi-Fi network and use that line to do things that you don't have any knowledge of.
That's true. I've definitely noticed on my list, like, oh, I think that's my neighbor.
Right. Right.
So hopefully you have a good
create
password.
2 Wi-Fis. Most new routers, you can create a separate guest network that you let your nephews and kids on, right? But you keep your network secure.
Okay, so
set it
let's
up on passwords.
let's get to that answer now to make sure that we get the answer there. Let's take a look at what the answer is. So C, the Wi-Fi service might be safe, but you should verify with a coffee shop that it's actually supplying the Wi-Fi and avoid logging into sites which contain sensitive and personal information. That makes perfect sense. I mean, you don't think to take the time to find out for sure.
This is something that's
but
really, really important for people to remember, especially because everyone's using their mobile devices to check their balances.
Yes.
If you have your location settings turned on and your Wi-Fi automatically logs into any open network,
Mine does.
and you're going to jump on and look at your bank information that gets transferred across that open network,
Right.
big trouble. Anyone that is accessing that network can look at your information.
You know, and I think too that you have a lot of criminals who they are aware that you're sitting there in the coffee shop.
Absolutely.
I know I forget that too, that it's so easy for people to see your screen or to watch your behavior, and I'm sure it doesn't take much because they're so practiced at what they're doing.
And that's what they do. Criminals, they watch for behavior, and then they try to develop a strategy to how to actually attack it. Look for vulnerability, look for patterns that people show on a daily basis and what they do without even thinking. But criminals are looking, and so you have to be careful.
Yeah, looking for the weaker link. Okay, let's get to the next question. So what should you do in the case of a data breach? We have A, change your password to that account. B, change your password to all accounts, or C, leave your passwords the same. And I'm going to guess it's not C. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's not C. But that kind of leads to the question, to what extent at that point do you have to make changes? I mean, how far do you have to go at that point?
So definitely you should change the password to the account that was breached. But if you use that password anywhere else, you should also change it on those sites too, which is why we suggest that you don't reuse your passwords on different accounts, right? And these passwords live forever. So we've had cases at the university with a compromised account. User had to change it, but then they promptly changed it back, and then the account was compromised again. So these password lists, the account name and password, will circulate for years. In fact, I just got word today in a list that was sent to the university by a colleague from outside that had my username and what appeared to be my LinkedIn password from the LinkedIn breach.
Really?
Right. And I could identify it by the password that I know I put on for LinkedIn. So I knew it came specifically from that breach.
Right.
So, and it'll pop up again and again, and that was in 2012.
And this is where the idea of using unique passwords come in, because with any kind of data breach, if they have some kind of login ID, usually your email address and the password that was used there. If you're using your email address and password on other sites, in the exact same username and password, they'll check your bank account. Yeah.
They'll try it. They will try it.
So then that leads to the answer that many of you may have guessed at this point. What should you do? Well, you really should probably change all of your passwords at that point if you've actually had a breach. Because once that door is opened, their ability to weave their way into other accounts probably isn't difficult, I would imagine.
You definitely want to check your computer before you go in and start doing that.
Correct, though.
Because if the source of that breach was your own computer with malware, and now you go in and change every single password, they have access to everything. So
That's a good point.
Be very careful about how you're accessing the passwords.
Okay, so let's get to one more question here. We also have some viewer questions too that are starting to stack up. It's important to install updates on your smartphone because A, they include important security features, B, they update your apps for you, and C, they make it work faster. So I think, when you think about what it does initially, people would maybe think that, well, yeah, it probably does make it work faster. But what ultimately is the goal here? What's the most important thing to think about?
From a security professional, security.
Security.
Right, because they are constantly finding vulnerabilities in software, not just on our phones, but on our computers and the applications. So when it says update your software, generally they're pushing out what we're calling a security patch. They're trying to patch a hole, an entrance
they're just making improvements to the app to make it more fun, right? That's what it's for.
Right. That's probably the second reason.
But that goes to what we were talking about before. Is it's almost kind of like a training for consumers as everybody on the backside of the door have to continue to train because they're constantly changing the game.
Yes.
So that type of training and updating is.
And I think that's an important information right there, is that you need to really learn about every tool that you use, just to look at all the capabilities that this particular software provides, but also at the same time understand all the vulnerabilities that comes with that particular tool. So that you can protect yourself. You can set the proper settings.
Way to think about it.
Exactly.
And then also, what data are you putting into that application, to the game, or even if you're subscribing to some of those loyalty programs, right? You're now giving up your shopping habits to these things, right? So when you go on Amazon, you buy things, and then you look at things, and then Amazon goes, hey, we have these recommendations for you, right? What are they doing? They're analyzing your shopping patterns, your browsing habits. And now if you can aggregate this across all of the retail industry, combined with your personal
metrics.
data.
It's all about learning the
great value
metrics.
to that.
Great value, right? People
And that's something that is another battle on Congress right now, is
Yes.
trying to figure out, okay, what exactly are we going to allow a lot of these companies to do, because they want the opportunity to market to you. They want the opportunity to get to your information at the most minute level for the sake of pinpointing you as a target. Okay, so let's get to the answer real quick, just to make sure everybody gets that. Important to install updates on your smartphone because they include important security features. Whether they highlight that or not, that is one of the primary reasons, which is a good thing.
Yes.
We do want them to be thinking about that. All right, so let's go to a couple of the questions that we have here. People have been calling in. Here's one. Lately, the news has reported about a hacking scheme warning us not to answer yes when a caller asks, "Can you hear me?" I saw this on your site. We're going to get to that in a minute. What is this scam about, and can you explain? And maybe before you answer that, I don't know if we can right now go to that screenshot that we got of what's called the BBB scam tracker. Is that right? The
That's correct. Our scam tracker.
Scam tracker. It's been around for how long now?
A little over a year.
A little over a year. I think we're going to go ahead and take a look at that and just give people an idea of what it is that you're doing. And I want to point out some of the numbers that are on the screen right there. It says showing 1,512 scams out of 65,177 reported. We're looking at just the state of Hawaii.
That's just the state of Hawaii. So we've had 1,512 scams in the state of Hawaii that have been reported. The 65,000 is nationwide.
Okay.
Of those numbers. The scams are geolocated based on what community, so you can zoom in on that screen and see if your neighbors
Yeah,
are
it's
being
really
scammed.
a great a link to go to. It's very interactive.
Very interactive.
And I think this question, the reason why I wanted to go to that is because I think this question was actually on that page as well, mentioning this because there's a little blog area that people can post, hey, watch out for this scam. So this was one of them about warning not to answer when somebody says, hey, can you hear me?
Exactly.
On the other line. What do you know about that?
Well, essentially, this particular fraud requires you to say yes into the phone. The party on the other end is more than likely recording you saying yes, and using digital software, they'll take that yes as an answer to a sales question.
Oh my goodness.
And then charge your credit card or your bank account or sign you up for a subscription or sell you a
I just
vacation.
got chicken skin.
Well, it's,
Yes.
and it happens all the time.
Right.
It happens constantly. People get scammed out of tens of thousands of dollars in this way.
I mean, you must be hearing about this all the time because you're taking, you're working with businesses, you're working with consumers, and they're constantly getting hit by new scams. I mean, all of you, really.
There's a lot of scams out there, especially with computer systems. We talked earlier about technical support and how it's set up where consumers at home either receive calls from someone, they're purporting to be from Microsoft or a large support company. First of all, these types of companies would not call you. They wouldn't do outbound calling for support like this. So if someone calls you and says they're Microsoft support, we noticed there's a problem on your computer, would you please let us on or provide us information so that we can access it and help you? That scams like that have existed for a long time, and it's just the user awareness. It's a big thing to be aware and a little skeptical of these types of calls, especially when someone from a large company is calling to help you.
You're actually dealing with that quite a bit too, aren't you? A lot of these, some are more well-known and more sort of used, I guess you could say. What's really hitting people here in Hawaii? There's certain scams, I think I heard credit card scams in particular. People here in Hawaii really get hit by that a lot.
Right, rental properties. I think a lot of these listings are fraudulent listings out there.
Really?
And a lot of merchandise sale, it's just not non-delivered or just overpayment. So for some reason, Hawaii has a high number of those scams here.
Is it just because people are more susceptible to it and maybe they're not as familiar, or they're getting hit a lot here?
Well, from the rental market, I think Hawaii has a very large rental market because of the tourism business here. So I think that's part of the issue, is that we have more victims that they can target.
So what in particular have you seen that maybe people can keep an eye out for, or is it just in general? Any little tips for people?
It's just a lot of, you have to be careful. You have to vet who is inquiring about your rental properties or who are you dealing with. Make sure that you get some information, not just what they show you on the email, but perhaps a phone call, follow-up,
And if they don't give that to you, red
and
flag.
perhaps maybe you should take your business elsewhere.
Yeah, very good.
And it's also if they go into an elaborate story.
Right.
We're on a mission in the third world, and we're coming back in 6 months, and it would
It's
be such a
amazing
blessing.
how often you still see that.
It's just these people have no soul. I mean,
That's
seriously,
true, yeah.
they really don't. All they want to do is steal your money.
And we in Hawaii, we want to help
yeah,
people,
we wanna help.
right?
We're so trusting.
It's
Actually a
all
good
about
aloha.
family. That's exactly
And
us.
they
That's
take
our
advantage of
nature,
it.
and they're taking advantage of it. So personally, I worry too, because now with this voice over IP, where you're doing your phone calls over the internet, people can pretend to be that they're from Hawaii. So it looks like it's a local phone call, but it's not. It's originating from elsewhere. So I mean, I'm actually seeing this in marketing calls from the mainland now.
Yes.
It looks like it's 808 number, so I answer it, and then it's not. And I'm like,
Well, this is an important question. Does the Better Business Bureau, somebody called in about this one, does the Better Business Bureau offer education on cybersecurity? I'm sure everybody needs a little more help. What can they do? How do you guys help out?
Well, we have two different components. We have consumer education, and so we have staff that go out and do trainings at senior centers and schools and with the military on demand if someone wants our staff to come out and do an in-person training on cybersecurity. we'll do that. For businesses, we have courses that they can take online. We have information they can look at on our website, and we
You've
have
really
professional
ramped up a
business-
lot on the website too. That's something that we talked about, and even the past year. If you haven't been on their site anytime recently, check it out because it's really refined. The tracking system is fantastic, and I'm really glad to hear that a lot of people are responding now. They're catching on.
It's important because Hawaii is so connected, both in consumers and business and visitors, and we have such a high rate of mobile access to the internet and to information. And so Hawaii's Better Business Bureau, through the support of our accredited businesses, have been able to create a better web experience and more tracking and more resources to help people protect themselves.
Now, all of you really have been involved in training and education,
Absolutely.
whether it be in the schools, in the community, with the different industries. I mean, it's been part of your job and what you do, every single one of you.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
And from the FBI perspective, we too recognize the fact that we need to train our own people, our own workforce. You know, the technology is advancing at such a rapid pace that government need to dedicate more resources to make sure that we are equipped and trained so that we can actually address some of these very, very sophisticated operations that the criminals are doing out there.
Well, and then actually attacks are taking place in very unusual ways. So there was a report where a university's network was attacked by their vending machines and smart light bulbs.
Wow.
And it's because they are, it's got a
IoT.
little IoT,
This is a
Internet
true
of Things.
story.
It is a
This
true
is
story,
real.
absolutely.
This happens, yeah.
Yes,
Oh my
it does. So these devices can be infected with malicious software, and most times the security on these devices are very weak, right? So
And do you think that's? I would think as a family, if you're attending a new school, you have the right to ask what type of policies and programs are in place for the sake of making sure that the school, isn't just secure in a physical sense, but also internally.
So actually most higher education systems and actually our Department of Education, there is actually a lot of security, not just around our information assets, but just trying to prevent people from misusing our networks to launch attacks on other places and things. So, but again, it's an ongoing thing because the attacks keep changing, the threats come in from different places, often unexpected places.
All right, let's carry on with some of the questions that we have. We have several more to go. So let's get to this one here. Should you update your computer's virus protection? A, never. Once installed, then you are protected. B, whenever new updates become available. Or C, you don't need virus protection programs on your computer. And I think for a period of time, did we have one more there? Sorry, I think that was it. So I think for a while, the mindset was, okay, PCs maybe so, but Macs are not going to get a virus. They're safe. And then also with your phones, people have, I think, have a different mindset. But we're in a different world.
Absolutely.
We're in a different world.
Yes.
Everything's at risk.
Everything. Yeah.
I mean, what do you see people sort of let their guard down on the most? Maybe is it because there's still that mindset?
I think the mindset it's really changed over the last couple of years. With IoT, the Internet of Things, devices that are connected, whether, like you said, it's your thermostat or your light bulb or Alexa, right? Your Amazon Echo, all of that's connected. It reports to some kind of cloud service. So users really have to be vigilant about what they're using, how it's used, updated, the vulnerabilities. So to answer the antivirus question, it's software in general. It's not just antivirus. When you look at software on systems, all of that needs to also be updated because any software that's written by someone, right, there's a possibility of that vulnerability. And that's what these updates and patches are really addressing, is that flaw in the software.
One of the things that you pointed out that's really important that we don't think about is when you activate your device at home, your listing device, whichever brand it is, you're connecting that device to be live and active through another device, through a router, through a Facebook page, or through a Twitter account, and it's on 24/7.
Right.
It's running, it's live, it's streaming information back and forth. So when you have that type of live access, it makes it very easy for criminals to to get access to it if your passwords aren't strong, or if you have a virus that infects your home network or your computer. They now have an instant access and open pathway out into other networks and can spread information and viruses from there.
All right, let's quick get to that answer so I don't forget to make sure I get to the answer, just to make sure. So the correct answer is B, whenever new updates become available. Just make sure. As we talked about the apps too, the reason why they keep updating is because they're just making sure they have security in place. So before we get to the next question, really quick, I wanted to get to this one caller question. Caller receiving calls and mailings from U.S. Census, but she suspects this is a scam since the census won't be until 2020. And she says the questions are very invasive. Not quite sure what the example is on that. But what do you think? Is that possible that it could be the U.S. Census at this point, or does that seem unusual?
Oh, I have some experience with it.
Okay.
I thought it was a scam, and we had a census follow-up question because
Okay.
it was, they sent a worker out who left a calling card, but what they should do is that person should have given you the census office number
Okay.
with their employee number for you to then independently check and make sure that that is indeed the census office number on the card that they left, to call and verify that that person was supposed to stop in and do an interview.
Okay, so don't be shy about asking for that. The
Always
census
ask.
number and employee number, and if they don't give it to you, then you have reason to be suspicious. Okay.
Now, I think you have more experience in that than I do.
Well, let's get to this, and I think this is something that that you deal with a lot, Tuan. What is this is the next question, by the way. What is the best protection against ransomware attacks? And we'll have you explain that a little bit more in a little bit what you've seen. But here are some of the options. A, pay the ransom early. B, report to local FBI office or other law enforcement agencies. Or C, back up your data regularly. And I think if something like this happened to me, my first instinct would be to call local agencies.
And that is not an incorrect answer, but I was asking for the best answer, right? So you should always ask.
What's the reality? Give us the reality, the context.
The reality is that when your computer is taken over by encryption, by a malware, a ransomware, you pretty much essentially don't have any access to your data, right? And what we advise consumers to do is really to have very, very strong backup of their data, so they don't have to rely on having to pay a ransom, which we do not recommend, because that will never end, because then the next ransom would come, and then the next ransom would come. And so having a strong backup system within your network is the one way that you can recover your data without having to rely on paying ransom. But I think Stanley has a more different business perspective on ransomware, which he deals with a lot more.
Mm-hmm. But it's similar. CryptoLocker, or these variants of ransomware, basically it makes your data unavailable. So it encrypts your data until you're willing to pay to retrieve a key to decrypt it. Your data is lost. So Tuan's right, with backups or restoring and recovering from that, that's one of your safest bets in terms of maintaining access and having that availability.
We're going to get to that CryptoLock in just a moment and explain that a little bit more, but just to make sure we get that answer up there really quickly on the screen. So it is a consensus to make sure to back up your data regularly. That is, to be proactive about it. Be proactive and to do it regularly. And you can set yourself a timer or an alert, whether it be through your calendar or something, a notification. I think that's the easiest, because it's so easy for everybody to forget.
And some of this backup software will have automatic reminders now.
That too, right, that's true. Within a certain amount of time you can do settings.
And many of them will also scan for Trojans or variants of CryptoLocker at the same time. And if they find an anomaly, they'll stop it before it can trigger and back up.
And the thing is that, what the FBI and other agencies that help in this regard, what they do, I mean, they do incredible work. But you are inundated. And there's a certain amount of access that you have, because here in America we're also doing our best to try and protect consumers. So that's why it's so important to take this mindset.
That's correct.
Yeah.
When it comes to encryption, such as a ransomware, the FBI has no ability to reverse that, right? And that's why we always educate people to back up, because once it happened, there's not much that law enforcement can do.
And there have been several large organizations in Hawaii that have been taken over and had ransomware installed on their computers, and they've had to make a choice. Do we pay the $10,000
Really?
to unlock our data, or do we lose a week or a month's worth of our business data and have to rebuild it?
Wow. All right, I think we're going to revisit that in just a moment, but let's get to this question, because this is going to hit home for a lot of people. So you're about to take a trip abroad. What should you do with your smartphone to safeguard your information or data? So A, if possible, do not bring your personal phone. B, if you must bring your personal phone, assume all information can be compromised. C, remove batteries while not in use. D, never store passwords or other sensitive information on the phone. Or E, there is no risk since smartphones are protected by PIN or password. So let's kind of talk about sort of what people need to think about. We gave several different examples here. What should people do, and to what extent, and why?
So there's a variety of reasons. So from my perspective, I would actually advise people to take a sanitized phone, something that
mean?
That means a brand new phone, or a phone that you don't use on your daily basis. So it has no information about you, but then you can still make phone calls, you can still contact people, right? So it just doesn't. It's almost like it's a brand new phone, right?
Well, some countries too, they have their own service, and then
Correct.
you rent those phones anyway. So you're going
Right.
to have a separate entity, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Japan, one country, for example.
Exactly.
So what exactly is? Why is it important, say, for example, to take the battery out? Why?
When the phone is actually not on, there's no power to it, it is impossible for any criminal to try to tap into your phone remotely. And so that's why we recommend that, is that when there's no power to the phone, your data cannot be touched or breached. And that's important. And in general, when you travel overseas, there are just so many criminal operations that really target tourists when they travel. They know that tourists like to have phones, and there's data in there. And so there's so many mechanisms that they can go about and try to get to that data. So you just assume that your data is not protected when you travel abroad. Unlike the US, we do have laws, we have systems in place to protect people's information. Overseas, you can't rely on the protection that we have here in the US.
Is that something you've had to deal with?
Well,
I would think so.
And in terms of
businesses.
overseas security, so there are services, encrypted gateways, VPNs, that basically turn your mobile device into, it creates a secure connection to these types of services, so that the traffic that goes between your device through the networks back to the US, that path is encrypted or protected. So if you must bring a mobile device that has data that needs to communicate, look into services like that. They're available, and all that does is it secures the connection back home.
Okay. And they're so readily available too. They really are, in that regard, maybe a little bit ahead of us in having some of these systems available that are very established and very vetted. So,
And that's for the savvy traveler. Right?
True.
Common travelers, common tourists may not have either the resources or really the understanding of those resources.
Right.
That's a good
And what
point.
people don't recognize is that we're dealing with very large, organized criminal elements. This isn't just a gang of street thugs that are going to come and copy your cell phone information. I mean, this is major criminal enterprises, hundreds of millions of dollars and into the billions of dollars a year that they're defrauding from U.S. consumers and travelers every year.
Wow. All right, one more question we're going to get to. We have some viewer questions as well and some other things to talk about. We touched on, answer. Yeah, I got to remember to get to that. So let's take a look at that real quick. Thank you very much for reminding me. So really, it's just about everything here. If possible, do not bring your personal phone, but most often you're probably going to. So if you do, assume that all information can be compromised, and do remove the batteries while not in use to sort of break that chain, and never store passwords or sensitive information on the phone. So just take as many precautions as you possibly can. Okay, so we touched on the issue of ransomware a few minutes ago. Let's take it a step further here. So let's talk about, you were starting to explain, and I'm going to let you finish that thought now. Ransomware CryptoLocker. What is this? Because this is the first time that, I'll be honest, that I heard of CryptoLocker. What is it and what's happening?
Sure. So CryptoLocker and its variants basically take the information on your computer and it scrambles them or encrypts them so that it's no longer readable by you, the user. So
that's it, you're locked out.
right, so typically with encryption, keys are required, and the perpetrator has the key in this point. And the whole idea behind ransomware is you're willing to pay hundreds of dollars, send it through Bitcoin or these untraceable routes, and then they'll send you the key so that you can recover your data.
A decryption key, I should say.
The decryption key.
And
so,
that, in theory, will make the data accessible again. But
right. And so there are tools that were created to generate keys to try and attempt it. But like we were talking about earlier, what's the the surefire way is really to have good backup systems to recover from.
So let's get to the full screen that we have here to show everybody the different options, things they might think of. I didn't pick the right answer. So best technology to have to recover from a ransomware or a cryptolocker attack, we're touching on it. A, antivirus, anti-malware software. People are pretty familiar with that. Maybe a full disk hard drive encryption or backup or image base. So what is the best option? We started talking about that, and why? Why is it better?
Right. So if you look at the answers there, they're all good, right? So antivirus, anti-malware software, that's a great thing to have. Full disk encryption, it's a different level of protection. What FDE does is it actually, on your end, you're scrambling the data so that if someone, say, steals the computer or finds the hard drive somehow, right? And we've seen cases like this. Laptops are left in cars, taken.
Right.
Without FDE or full disk encryption, that information is retrievable. And so healthcare professionals, a lot of these organizations have that requirement, which protects your data. But on the flip side, if someone turns the table on you and encrypts your hard drive, one of the only ways to recover is to have that information recoverable, which is through backup.
Here's something somebody brought up real quick. Eye scans and touch scans into banking and health data. Is it safe? I feel like several years back, we kind of saw this sort of pop up in certain businesses, and then it kind of went away because there was some difficulty with the technology. What are you seeing in that regard? Noelani Wilcox was asking about that.
Sure. So this is really around what we call MFA, multi-factor
authentication. Right.
So a lot of services now, they'll use either authenticator applications, or they can SMS text you a verification code. So the idea is, in addition to your username and password, you have something else that you have, right? And in this case, the question asked about your eyes or your fingerprint or this text that gets sent to you with a code. And so a lot of times with these online services, the surefire way is, without the errors that come with scanning your iris and your fingerprints, a simple text message will come through. I know some services frown upon that because that code gets transmitted over unsecure networks, but for that instant that you need to sign on and that code will roll, that code changes. So that's one of the things.
And I think with the biometrics, though, the technology is still not that robust yet. So personally, I signed up for this service called Clear at the airport, right? It'll take your retinal eye scan and your fingerprints, right? And none of it works for me because I have really difficult fingerprints and I wear contacts. So at the airport, it's very hard for them to get my retinal scan. So, they have to walk me through every time going, I know really I am me, but it's just that the retinal eye scan and the fingerprints do not work personally for me. So
I wanted to get to a couple of questions here having to do with legislature and also what's happening in Congress, see what we can fit in. This is from Sanford calling in. Congress just sent a bill to the president for enactment that removes ISP's requirement to obtain their subscribers' browsing histories. This is to create a security hole which criminals will exploit to our detriment. That's a question from him. So this is kind of bounced back and forth as to what we allow internet companies, for example, what kind of access we might allow them to have, with the understanding that likely that's for advertisement purposes. Where do we draw the line here, and how do you feel about how we should think about that?
You want me to jump in
Does anybody
first?
dare?
Absolutely.
Should we do a John on this one?
From a consumer protection standpoint, consumers have to decide how much personal information they're willing to give up in exchange for convenience.
Right.
Is really what it comes down to. You're trading convenience for your personal information. The legislation basically is saying that the protections that used to be in place and limits that ISP providers and the internet companies had in what they could do with your personally identifiable information, browsing habits, websites you visited, used to be kapu. You couldn't sell it, you couldn't do anything with it. Now that's commoditized. Now they can take it and sell it to a third party for marketing use. So now you as a consumer have to decide how much convenience you want to enjoy. Do you do a VPN? Like Stuart is saying, that you can do that to mask some of where you're shopping and what you're doing. But the reality is that you are now giving up your personal privacy in exchange for the convenience of using technology and the tools available to you.
Tough choice for everyone.
It is, and you don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
You just jump on a website and you just browse.
It's convenient.
Right. Let's look forward a little bit as to what some folks are trying to do here in the state. For example, a couple of House bills out there. One, House Bill 598, to fund the UH to help develop what's called a Hawai'i cyber ecosystem. What is a Hawai'i cyber ecosystem? What is it?
So that's basically, we want it to be a community-based organization where small businesses, big businesses, critical infrastructures, law enforcement, academia, all can come together to, one, learn from each other. Also, the other thing we'd like to do is to figure out how we can share threat information, right? We're all getting attacked from all these different
Here is the way that the bill is written. This is quote, the legislature finds that cybersecurity is a matter of state and national concern that requires immediate attention. Cyber vulnerabilities and threats impact all of us in a multitude of industries, and we're all vulnerable to that. So
absolutely.
they realize.
And just sitting around this table, right? We're coming at it from so many different perspectives, and we can all learn from each other. And I think that's the beauty of it, to bring us all together in a neutral setting where everybody can share ideas, thoughts, best practices, and also, for example, what if there's a brand new threat that's hitting Greg? Right?
State Fusion Center. That's another bill that's out there. What is a Fusion Center?
So the Fusion Center is a center where law enforcement community comes together to exchange and share information related to crime within your community. I think the bill is pushing that beyond that to really address the cyber threat, bringing additional resources, bringing additional agencies' involvement into this so that we can facilitate the discussion just like what UH is trying to do, but more from a government perspective rather than a academia, university perspective.
And I think they're also trying to pull in the critical infrastructures, right? So like our electrical companies, our water companies, our transportation, because
which we already know it has happened. I think California was an example where
right. But we depend on all of these services in our daily lives. So, if any of those services were to be taken down, the consumers, like all of us, would be immensely hurt. So how do we protect those infrastructures? And
that is the reason why, what do we say, 1 million jobs in cybersecurity right now. The demand is extreme. You've been involved in a lot of the training and with what you do too. It's no surprise. And the different types of jobs that are out there right now, it's exciting for people who do want to get involved in this because it's so incredibly important right now.
And there's a shortage of professionals in the security, also the IT space too. So the goal is,
are you getting calls all the time?
It is. It's very, very exciting with the possibilities, not just from the computer networking, the traditional IT jobs, but the security, especially around cybersecurity or information security. Those are very, very hot fields.
And within the university.
Absolutely.
It's got to be huge.
So we are actually trying to align the different programs across all of the university campuses so you can start at a 2-year, go into a 4-year, get a 4-year degree, go out into the workforce, and then find out you might need to be retrained, come back in again, get additional education around it, because the threats keep changing, the technologies keep changing. We will have to refresh ourselves all the time in this space.
And within the FBI too, I mean, it's just huge to get new recruits in.
We recognize the need for the workforce training, but through the university system. So we have actually worked with UH here for the past couple of years in partnership with some of the other agencies to really try to develop the school on how what curriculum they should provide to the students so they can be more prepared once they actually hit the job industry and look for the jobs that is more relevant to today's concerned.
Right.
And
So
the FBI is looking for those skills. We can't keep up with hiring computer experts.
A lot of the programs here, you guys have been getting accolades. I think it was the National Cyber League competition, right?
Right.
Was that last year?
Right.
Didn't they win? Was it a regional?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that was a big award there.
And
that
then
they got.
Honolulu Community College just placed second in the virtual cyber collegiate defense competition.
Very nice.
And that was just this weekend. And so, all of these good things are happening, and right, so how do we just link all these programs together and then make sure that they get jobs?
And it's wonderful to see more and more young women
Yes.
getting engaged into this. I think in part because STEM his program has gotten stronger and stronger, and much more interest too with women. Are you seeing more young women come in as well into the
Not
field?
enough.
Not enough.
Thank you.
Very
Yes,
good.
Not enough, right, right.
The right answer.
I think, right, in terms of,
It's good to see the different perspectives because people are coming from different approaches and collaborating together from different viewpoints.
but traditionally, and we see this a lot in our industry, it's still very, very male dominated, but I really don't think there's enough female participation, and hopefully that continues.
Right, and
to
I think it
increase.
starts in middle school. So, but it's a joint effort. We all have to work together to build that capacity.
Well, I think there's also not enough time to get to all the questions that we need to get to because people are so touched by this, and it's so important to hear from all of you, to hear that these programs are moving forward, the services that are being provided. Check out the BBC Scam Tracker. It really is a great tool, and I'm glad to hear that people are getting engaged in that. All right, so the questions and answers from tonight's quiz, plus some we didn't get to, will be posted on our website, pbshawaii.org, with tonight's Insight show. So mahalo to all of you for joining us tonight, and we thank our guests, Greg Dunn from the Better Business Bureau, Jody Ito from the University of Hawaii, Stanley Lau from the Hawaii Tech Support, and Tuan Nguyen from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. All right, next week, Insights will take a break as PBS Hawaii brings you the first night of a 4-day, 10-film event, the films of Eddie and Myra Kamae from the Heart. In addition to these wonderful films, you will hear from a diverse group of people who will share their thoughts of Eddie Kamae and the legacy, I should say, that he left us. I'm Laurie Yamada for Insights on PBS Hawaii. Until next time, a hui hou.